Let's build a goblin hive. I built these prototypes from inspiration of both termite mounds, ant hives, and the sort of cave construction that humans have done all over the world. And most notably, for me, in Turkey, where the sandstone was soft enough to carve a dwelling in a otherwise very hot area that was temperature controlled. Though the goblins work a bit more like the termites than they do the people from Turkey. Didn't really have a strong plan here. I'm just putting foam together, scrap pieces I have, seeing what shapes it makes. I did know I wanted to keep a path on the interior to increase play opportunities. The doors are actually where the ideas started kicking off for me. I imagine goblins as the sort of creatures that are envious and jealous and desire what they believe other people have. So I imagine them watching human peasants with their fires in the interior of their home, their cooked foods, their variety of livestock, and just feeling a sense of hatred and desire, but not being intelligent enough to figure out how to recreate these things for themselves. The goblins believe that these markers they see on all the homes are a sort of ritual or spell. And so that when they found a halfling settlement, they killed everyone inside and stole their front doors, believing that was going to give them what the halflings had. During the researching of this, I found that termites actually build their mounds out of their own spit and their own feces, which I thought was an interesting concept. Imagine goblins work much the same way. So I left it this really lumpy texture. It gives a very strange sense of history and work to their houses, if you imagine them building it that way. Couldn't be more pleased with this water-based spray paint. It says it's foam safe. I didn't notice it hurting the foam any. And with that vacuum fan going, it was pretty pleasant to work with an interior. There we go, a little bit more red.
You should try mixing a little bit of this. Yeah, that's a really good color. That's a really great color, Matthew.
Yeah.
That is a really good, actually, that's our path color.
Oh, okay.
So good.
Some matte medium in it to dilute it without making it strong.
What is matte medium?
Matte medium is paint without any color in it.
Whoa, let's do this ant mound color.
I'm going to use a lot of thinner so that you can still see this black and white through a transparent layer of it. Because otherwise, you just lose all the black and white. You don't see the shadows and stuff anymore.
I said it would be cool if you mixed yellow with that, and then you mix this with that color. But then you put it like a load more yellow in.
A yellow with which one?
Yellow with that color.
Okay.
And then
that color.
And then
yellow.
And then
makes a nice red.
Some of this color in there. Put some of that color in there. And And then add just like a whole bunch more yellow.
Okay.
See what that?
Ooh, that does look really good. I like that a lot. Well, I plan on putting grass and moss and stuff on there, because I think the green will make a nice contrast with this orangey red.
Yeah, and also, I think you should try doing a path. Path would look really good.
Yeah. I like to do painting in layers. So I get everything like 1 or 2 colors, and then I start adding more colors on. The layers make it so that everything kind of goes together. They all belong together.
We should probably get like permanent marker or something to mark out where we want to go.
I mean, you said like 4. I think that's pretty easy to remember.
I think we want to right there, and then just kind of turn around to a little bit smaller so it fits there. Like, if it's exactly that small, like exactly with that river.
Looking at this stage, I realize this looks like actual poop in 1-to-1 scale. Moreover, when I got those nice saturated colors from the Army Painter speed paints on the doors, it's making each of them a different color to show that these weren't made by the goblins and also didn't come from one place. They end up looking like a dark color next to a dark color. Everything washes each other out. Nothing stands out in a nice way. So I tried dry brushing. That helps a bit. The texture's a lot more interesting. Then I try a wash in green to try and increase the contrast. Certainly increases the contrast, makes it ugly as heck to look at. And so we redo it. It's tempting to call having to redo a paint job like that a failure. But I learned a lot on that first paint job. For one thing, I finally figured out the right level of matte medium to add to my paint to make it into a glaze so that you can still see the zenithal afterwards. I got some instruction the hard way on color theory. And most importantly, I figured out the stipplate technique really makes stone look a lot more interesting and in scale, since all the tiny brush strokes of each individual hairs of that fan brush make tiny, tiny details that feel right for a massive piece of stone instead of just a lump. So I mentioned this earlier, but I'm putting in that foam clay just to make it so the door isn't attached to the front of the structure. It's actually part of it. Putting some minimal flocking on here. I really like the way it gets some color variation. And again, helps to reinforce the sense of scale when you see how tiny the stones are and the plants and so on. And a sense of history and time. The plants start growing in areas where the goblins don't walk, and where rainwater and dust and dirt happen to collect. In the Pacific Northwest where I live, there's lots of these trees that just stubbornly cling on to the sides of cliffs, trying to find somewhere to grow. I imagine this was one of those trees. Probably the only one the goblins haven't figured out how to turn into firewood. And this is where everything started coming together for me. Furthering that idea that the goblins had been building their houses using a ritualistic understanding of why you build a house in a certain way, I imagine them just being jealous of everything that humans make, or elves for that matter, and taking great pride in stealing those things, then displaying them in their own homes, not knowing what those things are for or what context they should be in. Just junk piled in strange areas that has great importance to the goblins, which would make going through a goblin's hive an interesting experience, because most of what you find is going to be trash, but some of it might be valuable. They wouldn't even know. All right, let's take it for a spin. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.